Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 83weeks.com. We are just moments after the completion of Double or Nothing 2024. Boy, was it a late night. Eric, it's finally over. 12 matches later. This was a marathon show. Is this the longest show you remember sitting and watching from bell to bell?
This is the longest day I can remember having in my entire life.
Wow.
I mean, this night this was long. I mean, and oh man, it's tough. It's tough.
It was quite a show. I really enjoyed it. I got my money's worth, and I know we're going to talk about all the individual matches. We want to hear from you. What did you guys think about the show, and what questions do you have for Eric Bischoff? We saw Thunder Rosa lose in the first match, which was on the pre-show. We saw Cage of Agony lose to Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed also on the pre-show. And then we opened the pay-per-view with a match that, boy, had a quite scary moment with Will Ospreay and Roderick Strong. I know you know the spot I'm talking about, Eric. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, scary right outside. Ospreay landed on his head. I mean, that could have gone bad a couple different ways. It could have killed him, and you hate to see that kind of thing. You know, I know that the audience loves the high risk stuff, the this is awesome kind of holy shit chants, and I know that's what particularly the AEW audience appears to be into, and they got a boatload of that. If that's what your game is, then you left completely satisfied, because that's pretty much all this show was to me, was just one big hardcore match after another. It was too much, too long, too dangerous for too many people. I don't get it, but it doesn't matter. If there's an audience for it and they leave happy, that's all that does matter.
We do want to hear from you. What did you think of the show? Was it a thumbs up, a thumbs down, a thumbs in the middle, and why? The next match, we would see the Bang Bang Gang defeat the Death Triangle, and this brought out the return of Juice Robinson, who's been gone for quite a while. I really think he's maybe the straw that stirs the drink for that group. I'm pumped that he's back. What'd you think of this one, man? A lot of talented performers in there.
I think we might have lost Eric.
Yeah, I'm gonna back out and jump right back in. You guys just stay right there.
We're coming to you live, of course, here right after AEW Double or Nothing 2024. Eric Bischoff is going to be joining us momentarily. We're also going to be hearing from a on-site correspondent, I suppose. Coach Rosie from adfreeshows.com was in the house. He captured a lot of fan footage too. Maybe the biggest surprise of the night was a return that a lot of people maybe didn't have on their bingo card. And maybe if he did show up, would they get to call him Gangrel? I think Coach Rosie has a little footage of that he shot from the crowd. As you can see, quite a night for returns, quite a night for a lot of big action. I mean, coming off the top of the cage and Gangrel, my goodness. And the entrance, maybe the most rock and roll entrance in the history of professional wrestling. Just a spectacular night, I felt, for production all around. So many unique entrances, including Mercedes Moné. Quite the entrance that she had. I mean, you just knew, hey, this is a big deal. She is a star. I did feel like perhaps the crowd wanted Willow Nightingale to win that match. And I'm not so sure that that's the expectation they had for the fans. So I'm curious. Hey, are we going to continue down the road of trying to keep Sasha as a baby face? I mean, it feels like she's very naturally a heel. I mean, even that video that introduced her today, just mega heel vibes. I'm curious to see where that goes. I was pleasantly surprised to see Swerve Strickland dispense of Christian. It did feel like Christian had been on such a tear that, man, could you blame them if they went with Christian? I don't think so. I mean, this is probably the best Christian I've ever enjoyed watching. So I would think that, man, maybe there's a chance that we could just jump right into a new Christian era. But Swerve got the win and clean. And then what a main event. I just can't believe this main event. We're going to talk all about it. But first, I want to go live right now to our on-site correspondent, Coach Rosie from adfreeshows.com. Coach is with us. Coach, how's it going, man? How are you?
Good. There's a big energy after that big main event. Everyone's out here hooting and hollering, and was excited. There was a little bit of a lull in the middle of the show, but it sure ended off great.
So you said there was a lull. Do you think the crowd started hot and then maybe they died off somewhere and they picked up steam at the end?
Yeah, I think the last three matches brought it back, but it was it had its peaks and its valleys, but you know, the crowd was resilient. 4 hours with the pre-show, 5 hours. That's a long time to sit through the ups and downs of a wrestling show. But AEW fans are great, and they brought it tonight.
What do you think got the biggest reaction live from the crowd perspective? What do you think got the biggest pop?
MJF, without a shadow of a doubt. When his music hit, the roof exploded off. For an AEW show, I thought that was probably the biggest pop, and I've been to plenty of their pay-per-views, and that was huge. And he came out and did what he did, and people were excited to kick off the show.
And if you thought maybe that, you know, one match or one segment maybe really quieted the crowd quite down, you know, where it felt like maybe the air was out of the room, because you said there were ups and downs. What match do you think maybe was the down of the show?
I would say the Mercedes Moné match when Willow did not win. I thought the crowd kind of revolted, and then she got turned on by Statlander. So
yeah,
the crowd kind of went flat after that. The trios match was kind of flat, and the other women's match, again, just the ups and downs of it. But when it came to that stadium, or not stadium stampede, but whatever, the anarchy in the arena, with the fire, when that fire came out and people were starting to get roasted, boy, that crowd had never seen that. So there was some oohs and ahs when that happened.
How would you say overall, you know, the crowd was from a capacity standpoint? Like, what percentage do you think were occupied seats this evening?
I'd say it was probably about 70% full. There was a lot of empty seats in the upper area, but lower bowl was full all the way through, and they were excited. Much different than Collision last night, where probably 60% of the arena was blacked out. So it was a big crowd from start to finish, and they were excited right from the beginning and right to the end.
Eric?
All right, back with you guys.
Welcome back to the show, Eric. We got Coach Rosie, who is live on site in Las Vegas right after Double or Nothing 2024. What a crazy main event. I thought we had seen it all, but we saw lariats with thumbtacks. We saw a guy got hit by a bus. We saw a flamethrower and a man set ablaze. My goodness. I've never seen a lot of this stuff at a wrestling show before, Eric. What did you think of all the hijinks in the main event this evening?
Honestly, I thought take whether or not the idea of using a flamethrower in a wrestling match is a good idea or not. Let's just put that off to the side for a minute. But the fact that they did it, they executed it very well. I'm not suggesting I thought it was a great idea, but if you're going to do something like that, you have to do it really, really well, or it can stink the joint up. Remember when they had, a couple of years ago, AEW had the ring that was supposed to blow up or some shit, and it was like something out of a sitcom. That's what I mean. And they avoided that. It was a high risk stunt. It was hard to execute. It was dangerous. I'm really surprised they were able to pull it off because arenas have really strict laws about or rules about things like that. Usually you have to have fire marshals there, and the fire marshals have to be the one that put out the fire on the stunt person, in this case, a wrestler. So I was really shocked that they pulled it off and that they pulled it off that well.
I couldn't believe what we saw. I mean, it's a visual that I don't remember ever seeing before. But maybe, as silly as this might sound, my favorite part of the entire show is when the Anarchy match is happening and they're playing songs. I mean, we actually got to see fights to a soundtrack tonight, Eric. I thought that was pretty fun, pretty innovative, and I thought it gave the crowd just incredible energy. What do you think, Eric?
I don't know. I agree. It was a bold move. I've had conversations with a number of people over the years, along the vein of, God, I wonder if we should try that. What would that be like if we had kind of music playing and a soundtrack going to the action? Never did it. AEW did it tonight. I kind of dug it, particularly because it was the final countdown was the majority of the soundtrack for that match. And that's a perfect, it's a perfect kind of fight song, right? It got the crowd up. They were animated. They were into it. They're singing along. They were part of the show. And from a production point of view and creating emotion point of view, big, bold, and I think pretty successful move.
I'm curious what you thought about Tony's decision, in hindsight now, to pair Mercedes Moné with Willow Nightingale, because it felt like to me, and Coach Rosie confirmed it as far as the live crowd perspective, when Willow didn't win, it sort of let the air out of the room. I think the majority of the crowd there was hoping Willow would win, and you can't imagine that was the original idea when they made this match. I mean, you've got a lot of money invested in Mercedes Moné, and it didn't seem like folks were excited to see her win the title tonight, Eric.
Well, it's because she stunk the joint up for the last month and a half. I mean, and this has got nothing to do with her talent or ability. I'm sure she's an extremely talented young woman and has proven to be so in WWE for a long time. So it's not her abilities, it's how she was being presented and how she was used, and it sucked. She had no, I mean, they just drained her of value. Every time she walked out, every time she grabbed a microphone, she became less and less interesting and less important. And I think they would have been much better off either getting her into action right away, or if they were going to hold her off. And I understand holding her off. I understand building anticipation. I understand letting a story develop. I'm all for that. They should have never let her talk. I mean, that was just a huge mistake. She cannot cut a promo. She should never be allowed until she gets the skill set to do it and the confidence to do it well. She shouldn't talk. It hurts her more than it helps her. I don't understand how nobody saw that. I mean, that should have been evident. Your agents, your more experienced people that are backstage, there's got to be somebody to pull Tony aside and say, just here's why you should not continue to do this. And it's so painfully obvious that it amazes me that somebody would actually have to say it. But whatever. The reasons you didn't get the reaction, or AEW didn't get the reaction they wanted out of Mercedes, is number one, the way she was introduced as a character. She fell flat on her face and hasn't gotten back up yet. I will say I enjoyed her match tonight. We did see glimpses of what makes her such a special performer in the right situation when she's properly directed and managed. We did see a lot of that. I don't think Willow was up for this match. She's not ready for this. She worked her ass off. She tried hard. I feel for her because I really could feel that she gave 100%, but she's not ready for this type of match. She was trying to do things she's not comfortable doing, and it looked awkward and clumsy and slow and just clunky as fuck sometimes. But she tried really hard, and I'm with Coach on this one. He was there. He could feel it. I could just watch it. It just didn't feel right to have Willow losing this match. There's just all kinds of things wrong with this one, really.
I got a text from you during the other ladies match where Toni Storm was successful in her title defense against Serena Deeb. What didn't you like about that match, Eric?
Neither one of them deserved to be in prime time yet. That match, and I'm so sick of hearing we're the best wrestle. I get it. It's a branding statement. I had where the big boys play. You know, WWE has that now forever, whatever. I get it. Nothing wrong with it. But, man, you're drawing attention and making an awful bold statement. You've got people out there that really aren't ready yet for primetime television, more or less pay-per-view. That match was horrible. And Toni Storm's got a great character. She really does. She's got a handle on her character. She has a lot of potential, but she is not ready for a match like this. That was sloppy as fuck.
What did you think of the Orange Cassidy Trent Beretta match and then the post match with Trent sort of storming off through the crowd?
I kind of liked it. It was different. I know Orange Cassidy's a different kind of character, but I've always found him to be interesting. I can't say that he's so interesting that I'm compelled to watch him anytime I hear that he's on, but I've never watched him and not been entertained. And tonight was no different. I was entertained. I like his weird. I mean, this is so different than what people would expect me to enjoy based on a lot of the other things that I say. But yeah, he's getting the shit kicked out of him when he's back in the corner, and he starts making his comeback by putting his hands in his pockets. And as goofy as that sounds, it works. And I liked it. I like Trent storming off through the crowd for one reason and one reason only, and it gets everybody asking the question, why? What's happening? That's a form of engagement, right?
Yeah.
You're getting people to start, they're asking each other, they're talking about it. I'm sure it'll be all over social media tomorrow. Where's this going? What happened? Why? And I like that. I liked just about everything about that match, really. It was pretty good.
I can't find very much to like at all about Chris Jericho's match with Hook and Shibata tonight. They had 12 minutes and 40 seconds that felt about 11 minutes and 40 seconds too many. This just did not click on a variety of levels. Pretty bad. What do you think?
Look, Chris is someone who I have a lot of respect for.
Yes.
A lot of respect for. We go back a long time. But this was horrible. Hook needs to get to NXT as fast as he can. I mean, he's not going to learn anything where he's at. Let's face it. He's surrounded by a bunch of hardcore wrestler Terry Funk wannabes. Every match is the same. I've never seen a pay-per-view where every match, the lengths of the match felt like they were almost all exactly the same. The layout of the match, there's no psychology of these matches. Well, maybe a couple, but for the most part, what psychology? This is just, it's high-risk offense, dangerous shit, elbows, punches, slaps. Okay, it's time to go home. I mean, what the fuck? I don't know who's laying the matches out. I don't know what kind of communication takes place between agents. But if you want to talk about a contrast between two products, go back and watch yesterday's King of the Ring, King and Queen of the Ring, and then watch this, what we just saw. And you and I talked about King of the Ring, the little details, just the attention to detail and the drama and the tightness of the action. You didn't see the same action in two matches in a row. Fucking how many tables did we see tonight? How many tables are in the MGM Grand? I don't know, but we saw most of them. I don't know why I'm frustrated or why I give a shit, but it just amazes me. This is really basic, fundamental stuff, people. And this is not about me hating anybody. I would trust me. I'm happy to be as far away from what's going on in AEW as I am, and only having to watch it on television for the purposes of analyzing it. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that mess because it is a mess. There's clearly no communication between agents, between talent. There's no control over anything. It's just everybody gets to do whatever they want. Everybody wants to do the same shit. It's kind of amazing to me.
Todd Prellerson is with us, and he says, unlike yesterday, this is way too long and loses your attention. 5 matches yesterday that made you not want to miss anything. Tonight, 11 matches and 6 hours long is way too much. I think we all agree with that. Tonight was way too long, Eric. I would say by at least an hour. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I mean, for example, and I don't mean to keep picking on Willow and Mercedes, but that match, if that match would have gone 6 minutes, it would have been better for everybody, especially the talent. Willow got overexposed so badly by just dragging that match out and asking her to do too much that she's not really good at yet. She will be. I don't know why, but I feel like she's a really cool chick. I don't know, chick. Can I say chick?
Yeah,
Probably
sure.
Gonna get heat for that too, but whatever. She seems like she's got charisma. That's what it is. She's got a natural charisma, and that's such a hard thing to find. But when you find it, you have to cultivate it. You have to protect it. You don't let her go out there and try to have a match like she's been in the business for 15 years. She's been in the business for 15 minutes. She barely knows her fundamentals. And then you stick her out there on a pay-per-view for what was it, a 14, 18 minutes, 16-minute match that felt like 45 minutes? It was horrible for her.
18 minutes is what they got. It was quite a long match. Another long match going 20 minutes and 20 seconds. Adam Copeland over Malachi Black in a barbed wire steel cage match. Man, this was quite a spectacle. A lot of blood and Gangrel, and maybe one of the coolest entrances of all time. What do you think of this one, Eric?
I kind of dug the entrances. You got to give credit where credit is due, and I thought the production of especially Adam's entrance was pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'd like to. Is Coach still there? I'd like to hear what he thought of the reaction to the people to those entrances.
The Edge one had people on the edge of their seats with the fire and him coming up and coming to the cage and Malachi coming through with the dark. It really set the tone for the beginning of the match. And once they got on that cage, it was a bar-knuckle fight. Like you said, with every table, including the blackjack and the craps table, they brought in from the MGM. There was a table, barbed wires. They had it all in that match. So if you're a hardcore fan, it really played to your senses.
Thanks, Coach. Yeah, I'm not a hardcore fan. I could live without those matches, but again, that's me. I always have to preface that. It's my taste. I guess his cage matches, hardcore cage matches, barbed wire, whatever else they had. If that's your thing, that's what you like, then you're probably really happy with that match. I cooked a steak during that match. I came back and forth. I'd watch a couple minutes. I'd flip my steak, come back, because I eat my steak pretty much medium rare, so it was really easy for me to just step away. And I knew I wasn't going to miss anything. I'd maybe miss another table, but other than that, I was good.
Well, let's see how a lot of people who were in the arena felt. Coach Rosie captured some video from some folks and got their take on the experience live. And before we go to that, I want to thank Derek Vale for joining us here at 83weeks.com. You can go ahead and hit that subscribe button for free right now, and you can turn on the notifications bell to know the next time that Eric is going to be live here at 83weeks.com. And be sure to check out our membership option as well. But right now, let's hear from some of the fans who were there live tonight in Las Vegas for Double or Nothing about what they thought about tonight's show.
Hey, this is Coach Rosie up here at Double or Nothing, and I'm with
Denver, right here in Las Vegas.
Denver. What's your favorite moment from tonight? Your favorite match? What are you excited about with AEW right now?
Obviously, the big MJF return. They got a lot of good talent. I like Will Ospreay. They got a lot of good talent. I like Mercedes Moné. They got a bright future.
Do you think Mercedes Moné made a big impact with her first match tonight by winning the championship, or do you think she came out kind of flat?
I think she set the standard for how the women are supposed to compete.
Exactly, as a champion should. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Our listeners and our fans were interested in what they think of the length of the show. Did you think it was too long, too short, just about the right amount of time, and why?
I thought it was too long. I thought they could have cut it by a couple matches. Like 5 hours is long for a pay-per-view. I'm gassed from it, so I think they could have cut it for sure.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
You're welcome.
Hey, we're here at Double or Nothing with
Alex Rush
Alex. Where are you from, buddy?
from Chicago, but I live in Las Vegas.
All right, buddy. You just got out of Double or Nothing. What was your favorite part of the show tonight?
I actually thought the Will Ospreay match was amazing. Crazy gymnastics, acrobatics. I did great crowd control as well. So it was awesome show overall.
Did you think it was a little bit too long, too short, just about the right amount?
We got here around 4:30, so about 3.5 hours. A little longer than normal, but I feel like a lot of the pay-per-views are usually 3 to 4 hours long, so it's about right.
And are you excited for the future of AEW, and what storylines are you looking forward to now that Double or Nothing's over?
I don't know about storylines, but I think if they bring in and start developing some of the talent that they have, like MJF and some of the other guys, and kind of build them up. And I know WWE is trying to steal some of the talent as well, but as long as they develop them, bring out good storylines, I think they'll have a bright future ahead of them.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, Double or Nothing just ended, and we're with
Jeff Molina,
Jeff. Where are you from, buddy?
Chicago.
Chicago, Illinois. Buddy, after seeing the show tonight, what was your favorite match?
SAM, Copeland, and Malachi Black.
What was the best part of that match for you, bud?
The ending, Gangrel appeared.
Gangrel brings back a lot of memories of the past. What was your favorite Gangrel memory from back then?
All of them. He was one of my favorites growing up.
Cool. Now, it seems like this pay-per-view is going to be over 4 hours tonight. Do you think the length of the show is just right, a little long, or you could have even had a little bit more?
I think it's a little bit long, but not too bad.
And what are you looking forward to for the future story-wise line from AEW?
See where MJF goes from here. He made his big return tonight.
Where do you think he's going to go? Who's MJF going to fight it all in?
Hopefully he's going after the title with Swerve.
You heard it here first. Double or Nothing's over. We got your prediction. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Man, looks like a lot of people had a lot of fun, but maybe it was too much fun. Maybe it was too long. We've briefly addressed that at the top of the show, of course, Eric, but what we haven't talked about is maybe the most noteworthy thing from the show. MJF is back, and he revealed that he is sticking around AEW. Called himself the Wolf of Wrestling, because he's not effing leaving.
Conrad's feed seem to has frozen up now.
All right. Yeah, well, I'll carry it from here as long as we're live until Conrad kicks back in.
Oh, yeah.
The MJF thing, I was a little surprised. Well, very surprised. I hadn't heard any rumors or anything that he was going to be making an appearance. So I was happy to see it. I've been a fan of MJF. I'll make a disclaimer there right off the bat. I'm not sure how I felt about his promo, though. It almost, I don't know. I want to see more of him. If the character is evolving, which just by virtue of the way he dressed and came in wearing his half jean, half leather jacket and coming on real strong. If that's going to be a change in his character, I got to see where it goes and see how he does it. I thought he came on a little too strong. I get it. You want to make a strong impression. You've been gone for a while. You know you're going to get a great reaction, as people always do when they've been gone for a while. I refer to it as absence makes the heart grow fonder factor. You know you're going to get it, so you want to take advantage of it. but you don't want to leave it all on a table either. You want to save something. You have to have somewhere to go with that character. So we'll see. But I was happy to see him. He looked like he was in great shape. I would advise him, however, the next time he gets a spray tan to make sure that his back is tanned as well as his front. At least that's the way it looked on my camera. But I did like the tan, and he looks like he's in fantastic shape. He's a talent that doesn't come around very often. That his character is very natural. He's comfortable being a heel. I'm anxious to see where he goes.
I'm anxious to see where he goes too, because I was curious, with the new announcement that was made tonight that the winner of the Owen Cup on both the men's side and the women's side will receive world title matches at All In. That, of course, is going to be the biggest show of the year. That will be the Wembley show. So this effectively is like their Royal Rumble, if you will, Eric, and that the winner is going to get a world title shot at essentially the AEW WrestleMania. And I would have thought if you would have had this conversation yesterday, okay, well, that's going to be Will Ospreay. He'll be the guy who gets that title shot. But he won a different title tonight. So I don't know if I feel like that's necessarily the plan. If you had to predict who's going to win the Owen, do you have any idea?
No, because I don't think AEW has any idea. So there's nothing. And in fairness to AEW, I haven't been watching the show weekly. I've been watching the show regularly for the last 2 weeks. I've watched the last 2 full episodes, but I never pick up any indication of story or any framework of anything that leads me to believe I think I know what's going to happen next. It just seems all very random to me, and that may be by design. That may be the formula that Tony believes in, because it's pretty consistent throughout most of what we see. There's just not a lot of rhyme or reason or long-term planning or even short-term planning, really, in what we see. And what do I mean by that? Because I can see already people are complaining that I just hate AEW, which just isn't true. But, what were the stakes tonight for the main event match with the Elite? And
that's a great question.
Why was there a match?
Right.
It's the fucking main event. Tony takes a ridiculous, hideous looking bump. Hideous, not in a dangerous way. Hideous, almost in a comical way. Takes that ridiculous bump where he looked like he got shot in the stomach before he realized he's just supposed to sell, not die. But then he shows up in the NFL.
In a neck brace.
At the draft, at the event. Yeah, I'm a little tired. And, with the neck brace, it gets all that attention. So there's all this focus on this match. This is their big NWO, I guess, idea. And there's not even a clue as to what were the stakes. Why does it matter who won? And the answer is nobody knows. So when I talk about what's lacking and why I don't think it's working and perhaps why there was only about 4,900 people or whatever it was, that arena holds about 18,000 people when WCW would stage events there. I don't know what the configuration actually ended up being, but I'm guessing it was somewhere around 12 to 15,000 people. They had it scaled down to 7,000, and it was probably 70% full, according to Coach. That's 4,900 people. For a pay-per-view at the MGM Grand, maybe there's something to this idea that there needs to be some semblance of a story or a direction. And it doesn't exist within the body of match. The next person that tells me that, we're going to have a face-to-face conversation because it's bullshit. It's delusional. These matches I saw tonight, there was nothing but spot fest, trading slaps, trading elbows, which I must have seen it in 3 or 4 matches. It doesn't mean a thing anymore. Nobody cares about anything anymore unless they literally set you on fire. Now you're going to get a reaction. Everything else they've seen a million times. Tonight. In one night. Oh, my God. Well, whatever. Hey, I hopefully people left happy and they were glad they went. And hopefully the people that spent $49 and bought it on pay-per-view are glad that they made that investment and they had fun and they enjoyed their evening watching it. If they did, then it's a winner. I'm just being honest about how I viewed it. particularly after watching King of the Ring. I was so excited about it. I was sending texts to people I know just because I was so excited about it. I never do that. They were probably coming home from Saudi going, what's wrong with him? I never hear from him. But it was really good, and I had fun. And tonight was just, it was a contrast. I had to work to get through it. And I wanted to. I wanted to look for something positive, and I think I found a couple of things that were positive, but man, it was hard. It was so hard. Oh.
Maybe the hardest part was Willow not winning. Our pal Ant Evans was in the building, and he said several hundred people left after that match. When Mercedes won, they said that's enough and bailed, missing the last two main events. Another match that happened tonight that maybe didn't seem possible 5 years ago, that the New Japan World Championship would be defended at an AEW pay-per-view. Well, it happened tonight with Jon Moxley successfully defending against Takeshita. I thought this was a fantastic match. I just think a lot of both of these guys. What did you think of this match in particular tonight, Eric?
Well, I liked Mox's entrance. I made a note of that. And I'm not being a smartass. I thought it felt believable to me. I could feel his tension. I could feel him just, ramping up. I could feel his adrenaline. It connected with me sitting here in the middle of Wyoming, watching on my laptop. And if it connects with me sitting here by myself watching on a laptop, then it's going to connect with the live audience. So I was very, very impressed with that. It's a hardcore match, bro. You know how I'm going to feel about it. It is what it is. There's just nothing there for me to get excited about it. Based on what I saw tonight, Takeshita is overrated. Maybe he's capable of doing a whole lot more than I saw tonight, but this is just another hardcore match amongst a lot of hardcore matches.
Peter wanted to say, Eric, do you agree with MJF's decision to stay with AEW? You saw it firsthand when Sting stayed loyal to WCW. Is this going to bite him in the long run?
Hard to say. Everybody's talking about right now, is AEW going to get the renewal? You've got so many people, absolutely convinced. I know Tony came out today, told everybody everything's going great. And, AEW's in for a big renewal and whatever. And I hope that that's true. But unfortunately, it doesn't really matter because just because they get a renewal, it doesn't mean the product's going to get any better. It's been going downhill steadily for 6 months. A renewal is not going to change anything. It's just going to give them more time to continue to lose audience until they wake up one day and realize that they're going to have to realize that they're in the television business. They're not in the wrestling business. For hardcore wrestling fans that love buckets of blood and hardcore matches and kendo sticks and thumbtacks and dice and tables and chairs and flamethrowers too. We can't forget the flamethrowers now. There's going to have to be story if you're going to compete in the television industry. And until that happens, they're just going to continue to circle the drain, and whether they get a renewal or not won't change that trajectory.
I want to thank and welcome Demetrius and Bearded Beast for joining us here as new members at 83weeks.com. We got a question here from Mr. Monster too. Do you think Darby Allin is still hanging there right now? No. If you hung around, they actually did let him down. Eddie had the similar comment we were talking about. Finally, catch a live show. Currently serving in the Army. I love the show. Looks like MJF signed a multi-year contract. Do you think MJF will regret it in the long run, not hitting free agency? I think, he would have made a lot of money no matter where he landed. You got to think for him to stick around, though, he got a pretty sweet deal. I would guess maybe one of the top paid guys there.
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, there's some big money in AEW. Based on what we've heard, I don't know that it's true, so I don't like to spread that kind of shit. Talk about other people's money when I don't know it for a fact. But based on what I've heard, yeah, there's some pretty big contracts there. And look, if MJF was able to negotiate one of them, if he's sitting in that $3 to $5 million a year range, good on him. As long as it's backed up, as long as if something happens to AEW, he's not holding a contract that he can't collect. But if he's got a solid contract that's backed up with Khan family money, and he's in that 3 to 5 million category, make the most of it, brother. Save your money. Take it from someone who knows better or should have known better. Save your money. Set yourself up for the rest of your life, because it could all end tomorrow. You never, injuries, whatever. You never know what's going to happen. You never know where AEW is going to end up. If I was, a close friend of MJF's, or a manager or an agent of MJF, even if AEW was willing to pay him more money, I would have encouraged him to go to WWE, because his career is going to be longer, probably be more fulfilling, providing he could stay healthy. That's always going to be the wild card, of course. But provided he stayed healthy, I think he'd be professionally far more satisfied, even if it was less money in WWE. Because if you look at what's been going on for the last 6 months or a year in WWE or AEW, I don't think there's anybody that's not very frustrated.
I can't wait.
Other than the elite, they seem to be having fun.
Yeah, they seem to be pretty having a blast. I think Carl Hayes has an interesting question here. He says, do you think $50 per pay-per-view can maybe pull in viewers they need to get a new TV deal? I think the idea here, Eric, is if a Turner were to make an offer and they wanted to offer the pay-per-views on HBO Max, maybe there's an opportunity to get a little bit of a bump in your overall contract value if you give them the pay-per-view. Do you think that could be part of the strategy here?
I don't know. Maybe. I think there's a slim chance. I think what it's going to come down to is audience, partially. And this is another thing that, again, Dave Meltzer and everybody else that's talking about whether or not there's going to be renewal and why. The one thing that nobody ever talks about, because they don't know, and it's the thing that matters more than anything, it's what do the ad sales look like for Dynamite and Collision? What is Turner ad sales able to do with that inventory? If they can sell that inventory and get a return on their investment and actually make $1 more than they're spending in license fees, then I think there's a good shot. But if the ad sales number is not what it needs to be, and it's not covering the cost of freight meaning the license fee, if your advertising revenue is not covering the cost of freight, then they're going to be gone, or they're going to get a reduced license fee, or there'll be some other configuration of the deal that will reduce the financial obligation of Turner Broadcasting. But we don't know any of that information yet. And the idea that somehow you're going to, bargain basement your pay-per-views to make it more attractive to Max or whatever, who knows? Maybe, but it sounds like kabuki theater to me.
We got another question here, or maybe a comment from Verum. He says, Mr. Bischoff, you're a legend. Thanks for everything you've done for the industry. As a pro wrestling fan since the 80s, I liked both of this weekend's pay-per-views. Thanks for donating to the cause. Thanks for the kind words for Eric. And Eric, of the two pay-per-views, did you prefer King of the Ring yesterday, and why?
I said it to you yesterday, Conrad. Every time I got up to, I go get a drink of water, because I probably drink 4 gallons of water in a 2-hour pay-per-view or 3-hour pay-per-view. I'd get up. I was afraid I was going to miss something. And I don't mean something big, I mean something small that mattered, something that caught my eye and made me, wonder where they're going with the match, some little device, storytelling device. It was just, everything was so tight. Everything mattered. There you go. If you want to know the difference between last night or yesterday and tonight, King of the Ring, every moment of that pay-per-view mattered. Almost none of this pay-per-view mattered until the finish. And that's the best way I could distinguish between the two. Love King of the Ring. I think it was an amazing example of what a pay-per-view should and could be. And I think tonight was what it was. It was an AEW pay-per-view.
Want to thank Tanner Ford for joining us here today and donating to the cause here at 83weeks.com. Also, Mark K's got a great question. He says, Eric, I'd like to point out TK was not wearing a neck brace at Double or Nothing. In order to keep story continuity, he should wear it on the PPV. I don't get it anymore. So glad I did not purchase. Yeah, I kind of didn't remember that, but now that he mentions it, he should have been wearing a neck brace tonight. That would have made sense.
Yeah, I don't get hung up on that. I mean, just because you injure your neck and a doctor gives you a neck brace to wear for a few days, it doesn't mean you're going to be wearing it around for 6 months. So I didn't get hung up on that detail. I just found that, grabbing Tony and throwing him, grabbing him from behind stage and throwing him out there on the stage only for him to disappear so he didn't get caught on fire by accident, I thought it was a wasted beat. It didn't add anything. It was just a beat. It was of no consequence. So why do it? Just to do it. That was my take. But I didn't even think about whether or not he had a neck brace, to be honest with you.
I feel like Instagram a wrestling historian asked this question just to ask it, or say this statement just to say it rather. Serenity versus Tony Storm is now the best women's match in AEW history for me. They went all out tonight. Boy, you got to think he's trolling you here, Eric, because you made it pretty clear you were not a fan of that match.
Hey, if you're a fan of that, wrestling historian, God bless you. There's a lot more of that in any independent wrestling show just about anywhere in the country you can get your fill. No shortage of that. No shortage of that quality of match.
Here's another question from Mark K. Also, I'd like to get Eric's opinion on reigniting the MJF Adam Cole storyline. Should that have been done on weekly television or on a pay-per-view? Thanks, Eric. All the best. That's an interesting question, I guess. Maybe you needed MJF to come back and say curse words and say donkey dicks. And if that was important, you probably needed to do that on pay-per-view. But I think you could have made him come back on TV and made a bigger splash, maybe. What say you?
I get why you would save a surprise return for anybody, especially MJF, on a pay-per-view, because you want your pay-per-views, you want people to be conditioned to believe as best you can that when you get a pay-per-view, you're going to get more for your money than you expected. You're going to get those big surprises, those big moments, whatever they may be. So I understand bringing MJF back on a pay-per-view. I would not have used the pay-per-view as the inciting incident to reignite that story. I would have done it on television. I would have done it over a shorter period of time. I would have built up to it. I would have created some anticipation for it. I would have created some intrigue for it. I would have gotten people hooked on the story, as opposed to just coming out and taking care of business and making a strong promo on a pay-per-view. So no, I would have built it on TV, but I do understand. I would have had MJF come out and now start building it on TV. I just wouldn't have done it all in one night. Again, 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. No, I don't want to say shit. 10 pounds of product in a 5-pound bag. Unnecessary and a waste, and you're not going to get the most out of your story or your talent that way.
Bearded Beast, I guess, was watching some of the fan videos, and they said they all look tired. Glad I was hiking instead of watching it at the show, guys. Keep up the good work, guys. Big fan of the show. Yeah, I think a lot of people were just maybe audience fatigued by the end of the night. We appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us. And hey, a special shout out to you, Art G, for recognizing that since it's past midnight, technically, Eric, we get to be the first people to say, happy birthday, kind sir. I can't believe it's your birthday right now. How wild is that we're together on your birthday, first thing?
That's pretty awesome. I forgot all about that. But hey, you know what? I have Lori and I have a friend. Actually, he's a young guy that we met in a restaurant here. His name is Darshan. His family's from India. And our nephew, Grayson, who just graduated from the Culinary Institute of America down in San Antonio, he is now a chef and a sommelier. 23 years old. He's a sommelier and a chef. And my nephew's moving up here, and he and Darshan, our Indian friend, work together. And they came over to the house today and made Lori and I a big Indian butter chicken dinner. It was just so much fun, and it was kind of a way to celebrate my birthday because tomorrow I'll be working. It's Monday, but I'll be working anyway. So I decided, since Lori wanted to celebrate my birthday today, I wanted to start it out right. And a couple years ago, Bruce Pritchard said I busted my chops because I would never get manicures or pedicures. He called them mani-pedis. Just the fact that he called them mani-pedis made me not want to get one. It just sounded ridiculous. And he would hound me. You got to try pedicure. So last year on my birthday, Lori got me a pedicure. And I got to admit, you get a foot massage, you get your foot in the hot water, and they, get out a cheese grater and, grate the bottoms of your feet smooth. I shit you not. Last year, because it was the first time I ever had a pedicure, and I sat there with my feet in the water, and the lady said, they don't speak English. She was a Vietnamese lady. She pointed my feet, go, up. I go, what? Which one? What? Anyway, she grabbed my foot, and she takes out a cheese grater, like a cheese grater from Walmart. Kitchen appliances, cheese grater. And it scared me for a minute, but then she starts grating on my feet. I'm thinking, damn, that's kind of good. And then she gives me a massage, does my toenails and all that. And so this year, I decided to go all in. And Super Dave Silva has a video. Take a look.
Oh my!
There's me getting my toes painted. Now you can't tell. That's sparkly red paint. That's not just red. That's glitter red. Isn't that cool? Do we have the video, Super Dave? Because there's a video too.
Yeah, I'm loading it up right now.
You're not going to want to miss the video because it gives you a much closer look. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I got glittery red toenails just to see what it felt like and looked like. My wife kind of freaked out. She made me take it off right away. I really just did it to send pictures to Bruce. I sent him a picture and said, see what you started. Here we go. Isn't that fun? That's my morning. Conrad, you wait.
Glittery red toenails, bro. That's what we're doing for your birthday.
It was a joke. I want to send Bruce a picture and say, see what you started. But then when I did it, I thought this is kind of funny. I had Lori make the video because I thought it would be fun to show everybody tonight.
It was fun. Thank you for joining us today, Bearded Beast, and jumping on board here at 83weeks.com. And here's a question from Wrestling Russ. Been a fan of yours forever, Eric. My cousin is married to Vern Gagne's brother. AWA from early 80s. Huge fan. Keep up the good work.
Hey, you want to know what? You want to know what, Conrad? The other day, I got a call from, you know who Mick Karch is?
No.
Mick Karch is a longtime ring announcer. He was a ring announcer for the AWA starting about 1986 or 1987. Had a little newsletter, Minneapolis, I guess, at one point. Anyway, he has a podcast with another guy by the name of Joe Chupik. Joe Chupik was the director at the AWA when I first started there. He was like 8 years younger than me. He was really young when I started there. And I ended up going on their podcast. They said, can we have 45 minutes? I said, sure, you can have 45 minutes. I was on with them for an hour and 45 minutes and had the best time. So shout out to Joe Chupik and Mick Karch and their podcast partner, and look forward to doing another one. But when they post it, I'll make sure everybody knows about it, because we talked about some details about AWA that I had completely forgotten about that Joe remembered. And it was a really, really great AWA conversation. So I'm anxious to share that.
Well, I'm anxious to tell you that Joseph Wade Walters wants you to know that he has farted. So it's a really unfortunate news, Joseph, and we hope it gets better.
Happy birthday to you too, buddy.
Ryan says, it seems like Tony might be letting the cool bus get to him lately. I don't know exactly what that means, but do you think maybe Tony is starting to crack from some pressure. Maybe that's the implication here.
I don't know. I don't want to cast aspersions. I don't know. I'm not there. All I know is what I see on TV and what I don't see on TV. And what I don't see on TV says a lot more than what I do. So whatever is going on, hopefully it will result and manifest with Tony realizing that he needs to change his approach to his product.
Well, we got Eddie, who has a question here. Happy birthday, Eric. Last question. Should AEW take WWE's approach in pay-per-view matches? Every pay-per-view since SummerSlam has been 5 matches. Mania each night was 7. 12 matches per pay-per-view is too much for AEW. Do you think it should be about half as long? I mean, that actually doesn't sound that bad.
Half as long and twice as good.
Wow.
Give me some story. Try to make sure that every match doesn't look exactly like the match before it, in terms of the way the match is laid out and the spots and the gimmicks and the tables and on and on and on and on and on, because that's what we saw tonight. Every match was a slight variation of the one exactly before it, in a very slight variation. Competitors were different, but the way the match was laid out was almost identical in every one, with the exception of the trios match. Every other match was laid out in a way that you could have just interchanged the talent and had the same match with the same gimmicks and the same tables and the same chairs and the same bullshit. That's what they need to fix. And if they can fix that and reduce the number of pay-per-views so that you can have a 3-hour pay-per-view is all you need. If it's a good pay-per-view, 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes. If it's really, really good, you're leaving them wanting more, as opposed to feeling like they just fucking OD'd on Krispy Kreme donuts. It's just too much. And even too much of a good thing is still too much. And this is too much of an average thing at best. And depending on who you are and what you look for in wrestling, it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a long night.
We want to thank you a lot, John Bergstrom, for donating to the cause today here at 83 Weeks. I don't know anymore. Boy, I'm going to regret this. I somehow know it. Can you say Lipstick Larry Felted Aaron from Steel Toe Morning Show? There you go. The 90s.
Okay.
What's that?
No, I thought I was supposed to say it.
Oh, go ahead.
Lipstick Larry Felted Aaron from Steel Toe Morning Show, I guess.
There you go. There you go. Happy birthday, Eric, you legend. Well, thanks for saying that. Here's one from James Sorensen. Happiest of birthdays to the greatness, Eric. And we appreciate that.
Thank you, James.
Anthony, man, coming in with a big donation today. If you're booking this storyline with the Young Bucks, Eric, how would you set them up feuding to take down? You're booking this storyline with the Young Bucks, Eric. How would you set them up finally being taken down?
I don't know. Those are always hard ones, and I do appreciate Anthony and certainly your generosity. It's about midnight here. My brain kind of checked out about 2.5 hours ago. I'm going to think about this because I really want to answer it, and I want to do a good job answering it. So tomorrow morning, Conrad and I are going to be recording 83 Weeks because I'm going to be traveling all this week. And it'll air next Friday morning. It'll drop. And I'll have at least an idea for you on 83 Weeks Friday morning.
We will see you Friday morning at 83weeks.com. Of course, you can hit the subscribe button right now and you won't miss a single episode. Be sure to turn on the notifications bell and you'll know when we go live. Thanks for donating, IDK anymore. I love this. I'll read it. Fire Conrad. He sniffs women at airports, bro.
Who
Here's
doesn't?
John. Hey, roll
Who
tide.
doesn't? Come on.
Happy birthday from Minnesota. That 90s guy says, it's my birthday in 2 weeks. Can I get a happy birthday from Eric? Give him a
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Okay, that's it.
There you go. Broom says, happy birthday, Eric. Which active wrestler today is better than MJF on the mic, if anyone? P.S. Conrad looks more red than Orange Cassidy did after his match. Yeah, I think me and Orange Cassidy need to start wearing suntan lotion. What do you think? Is there a better wrestler on the mic today, Eric, than MJF?
Randy Orton.
Wow. Okay.
He's just got more experience. He knows how to, while you were, we lost you there for a little while. We were talking about MJF's comeback, and anybody that knows me knows I'm a big MJF fan. I have been from day one, really, and still am. I think he came on a little too strong tonight. You've got to put a governor on every once in a while because you have to have somewhere to go. And I think he came on a little too strong. I don't think he's quite learned how to sync up his body language with his dialogue yet. It's just too much. He'll get there. It's reps, it's experience, it's feeling reaction over time and learning how to fine tune your presentation and the way you carry yourself in different promos. But I think Randy Orton, as I've said so many times, I don't think there's been anybody better all around in the ring, on the mic, knowing his character. I don't think there's anybody better all around than Randy Orton over the last 30 years. But I think MJF will get there. He's certainly got all the talent, all the potential. He just needs the experience. And he needs to work around people that are better than him. That's what I'm fearful for. I said earlier, if I was his manager, his agent, I would have directed him towards WWE, in large part, not only because the opportunity in the long run is going to be bigger for him, but he can learn from people who are so much more experienced than him. Who's he going to learn from in AEW? There's nobody. There's nobody he can learn from. He's better than everybody else already. And there's no emphasis on it. There's nobody teaching it. There's not a lot of improvement on the mic from anybody there. So who's going to be his mentor in AEW when it comes to promos? So he'll get there eventually. Hopefully he doesn't go down the wrong path too far that he can't correct himself. And, it's like a golfer, spends a lot of time, a lot of money learning how to swing, trying to perfect your golf swing. You finally get it down, you're driving pretty well, you feel pretty confident in your swing, and then you quit taking those lessons and you spend a year or two out on the golf course, and all of a sudden you're out playing with your buddies one day and your swing sucks because you've developed bad habits over the course of a year and a half. They're little habits. They're little things that you adjusted and started doing differently from when you actually learn how to really swing a club and you were on your game. But over time, you start changing little things. Sometimes you don't even notice it. And before you know it, your golf swing sucks. Same thing happens in wrestling. If you're not surrounding yourself with people who are better than you and who have more experience than you that you get to work with and learn from, like everybody else does, you kind of go stale. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Anthony's bringing all the good questions today. He says, Eric, why do you think a guy like Randy Orton doesn't get enough respect by fans in terms of his promos? They always say he's very monotone.
It's consistent with his character. What is he supposed to go out there? I mean, he's this stealthy, dangerous, almost understated killer. What's he supposed to do? Go out there and rant and rave? It's just, it's a matter of taste. If you're not a Randy Orton fan, then you're not a Randy Orton fan. I love a character whose presentation is complete, meaning he sounds like he looks, he carries himself like he acts. The character is complete. It all fits together. And I think Randy does that better than anybody.
We appreciate Carl Hayes jumping on with us today. He says, happy birthday, Eric. Please convince Conrad to do an ad-free cookbook. My rec tech is ready for it. Love you all. Happiness to all watching and listening. Thanks for that, man. That metalhead dude says, happy birthday, Eric. Another shout out here from Anthony. We greatly appreciate everything you've done for us today here, Anthony. We get another one from RT. It says this has nothing to do with AEW, but what do you help me out here, Eric?
This has nothing to do with AEW, but what did you do when you weren't commentating for Nitro? Where did you hang around? Were you in the gorilla position? No, I never hung around. I never liked the gorilla position because for me, if a lot of times during the course of a show, there were live interviews that were scheduled backstage, and I directed a lot of those. That was kind of what I was really best at, to be honest. So even though I was doing other things, and sometimes I was announcing on the show, sometimes I'm a character in the show and doing my own thing out in the ring. But for the most part, just about every show, I was producing several of the segments backstage because I just liked it. And like I said, I was pretty good at it, especially with younger talent that didn't have quite the experience. I liked working with them and teaching them how to work around their lack of experience as opposed to exposing it. But I never sat in gorilla because you can't get a feel for anything back there. You know, in the gorilla position, as I refer to it, because of Gorilla Monsoon, you sit backstage behind the curtain. There's a bunch of monitors back there and headsets, and you're sitting there and you're watching the show with a pair of headsets on, and you're watching a little monitor smaller than the computer I'm watching this, or we're doing this on right now. You can't feel what the audience is feeling either at home or in the arena. If you're watching the show, for me, if I'm executive producing a show or producing a show, and it's important for me to understand whether or not I'm connecting with my audience, the last fucking place I'm going to be is in gorilla position, looking at a little monitor about this big with a set of cans on, and I'm not really listening to the crowd because I'm listening to the truck. I'm listening to the cameraman. I'm listening to all the people who are involved in the production of that show, and I'm not even hearing the crowd. Well, how can you tell? How can you sit back there and judge whether or not what you're doing is really working or not if you can't feel or even hear the audience? At that point, you might as well be staying home and watching it on television and trying to direct it because you're not feeling it. So, no, I never spent any time in gorilla. I think everybody wanted to be back in gorilla because they thought that made them look like they were in management and they had some power. I never went there. I stayed away from it. If I had extra time and I wasn't producing something backstage, I'd go sit up in the rafters. I'd go so far up there nobody would even look at me or notice me because they're all looking down at the ring. I just watched the show with the crowd because I could feel what was working and what wasn't working when I was sitting in the seats a lot better than when I was sitting in there staring at a fucking box with a pair of headphones on.
Well, we're glad that you guys showed up to stare at a fucking box with a pair of headphones on tonight. At 83 weeks.
I'm sorry, Conrad.
No. Listen, I'm glad to do it. We had a lot of fun here tonight. I enjoyed the pay-per-view a bit more than Eric did. Lots of interesting things we've never seen before. Yeah, there were some matches maybe we could have done without. But hey, I felt like I got my money's worth. We hope you did too. We hope you'll consider hitting the subscribe button, being sure to turn on that notifications bell. You don't want to miss us the next time we go live. Wise Choices and 83 Weeks are on deck, coming sooner rather than later, right here at 83weeks.com.